so are you. Not happy with how your WK2 looks? Well, this guide is going to show you how to get better fitment and performance out of your Jeep. And no, we're not lifting it and putting 35s on it. This guide is aimed towards high-performance WK2 Cherokee models, including the SRT and the TrackHawk. These wide-body Jeeps come with tons of power, whatever trim you have, and decently sized tires. But the fitment is a little SUV-like. Today we're going to be talking about flush fitment, maximizing contact patch, and lowering your WK2. Some purists might not like the direction Jeep has gone with the WK2 platform. After all, these Jeeps are not built to go up Hell's Revenge or Devil's Canyon, right? Well, these models are not intended for that. They can, however, gap a Tesla Plaid from a dig, and we are all about that. Guess what? We don't just sell JDM wheels. Bet you didn't know that. These are race stars. They're really cheap drag racing wheels. We've got them on our website. This video is about a truck that people go drag racing with a lot. So, you need wheels. You need Mickey Thompson's or other big sticky boys. Hit our site, link down below, pick up your set today. Let's get into it. So we're gonna break things down as usual, basic fitment info, and then upsizing and downsizing. We're gonna take a look at the factory sized wheels, 20-inch aftermarket wheels, 22-inch aftermarket wheels, running a drag pack, and much more. It's all in the description. Lug patterns of 5x127, M14 by 1.5 lug thread, 71.5 center bore, 130 foot-pounds of torque. The 5x127 lug pattern is almost exclusively used within the Mopar family, which can make it a little bit difficult to find the right wheel setup. Add into that a lot of the wheels with this PCD are geared towards the off-road crowd, and the job gets even harder. We are looking for large diameter, wide wheels with concavity that are still reasonably light. While there's not infinite options, we are going to show you a handful of brands that make wheels specifically for this platform. Or you can always go with something custom forged from Heritage Work, all that jazz. Hit us up, you got you covered. Brake clearance wise, all these trucks have massive 6-piston Brembo calipers. Concave style wheels do look good, but are sometimes a necessity to not require wheel spacers. Specifically the TrackHawk calipers, they're about the same size, but they use a 20mm larger rotor. This does mean that not all wheels that work on the SRT will work on the TrackHawk. Certain ROHANA and WELD wheels, for example, will not fit without spacers, so just bear that in mind when you're going over this video. Now, as far as the brakes themselves, we are going to do our best to point out what is cross-compatible and what isn't, but if you own a TrackHawk, be sure to double check before you order your new set of wheels. There's nothing more disappointing than putting them on and hearing it hit that brake caliper. Now, as far as lowering your truck, at this point, all the suspension options that you would find on an enthusiast car are available for the WK2 platform, so it's not like this weird trying to find parts thing. You can do springs, you can do coilovers, you can do air suspension, but by far the most popular option is lowering springs. From what we've found, Eibach is generally the go-to brand for these, but they're lowering springs. They're really pretty much all the same except for KW, so click the link down below and get your setup. These Eibach ones specifically will give you a reasonably low ride height and a sporty feel, but they're going to maintain a decent ride quality. If this isn't low enough for you, consider a set of coilovers or even going air suspension. You could run Silvers for coilovers or AirTech for bags. Now, there's nothing wrong with keeping the factory wheel diameter if you like maximum rubber to keep your Jeep comfortable and fast. You have the added benefit of keeping your factory tires if you're so inclined, or you just get a little bit more sidewall. This first one we're taking a look at is on a set of VELGEN VR F5 20x10 plus 34 all around. They wrap these wheels up in Toyo Proxy's ST3 295/45/20 tires. Now, these will work on both an SRT and a TrackHawk model, and we're starting out with the 2018 SRT on VELGEN VR F5s. This rig is on the original tire size of 295/45/20. The reason it looks so aggressive is down to the wheels being half an inch wider than stock and having a lower offset. Factory wheels come in at a 20x10 plus 50, but these poke out close to 1 inch more than stock. Now, while more aggressive wheels do have a higher chance of rubbing, this is a very simple OEM plus setup, and they clear with zero issues considering this truck is at factory ride height. Keeping your factory tires will also keep costs down, especially considering the tire sizes used on this platform do tend to be fairly costly. Then next up, we're taking a look at another SRT. This one's on niche DFS wheels, and these niche DFSs come in at a 20x10.5 plus 33 all around. Now, the owner of this truck has wrapped it up in Pirelli Scorpion Verde tires in a 295/45/20 again. This one, this time, is lowered on a set of Eibachs, and this one has not been tested on a TrackHawk, so we can't confirm clearance. So Fitment, of course, is nearly identical to the last one, the difference being that this one is lowered on Eibach Pro springs, and as we can see from the pictures, it takes away a ton of the wheel gap seen on the last one. This kit adds about a 1-inch drop, and as long as you keep the factory tire size even on a more aggressive wheel, rubbing should not be a concern. If you go up to a 305/45 or a 315/40, you could run into some rubbing issues at full lock. Now, we're going to step things up to 22s, and when most people think of aftermarket wheels on this platform, they are thinking go big or go home. 22s fill out the fenders on the TrackHawk quite a bit better, but would not be considered donk spec either. Check out 24s, 26s, 28s, 30s if that's your look. It's not a surprise that this is the preferred size for this platform, as it's basically a +1 size. This first one we're taking a look at is a TrackHawk sitting on niche MILAN wheels. And these niche Milans come in at a 22x10 plus 35. They're wrapped up in a set of Kumho Krugen HP71 tires, 285/35/22 all around. These wheels will work on both an SRT and a TrackHawk. If we say they fit a TrackHawk, they also fit an SRT, but not the other way around. Now, believe it or not, this truck is not lowered. The owner of this SRT went for a 285/35/22, which actually has a smaller rolling diameter than stock. If you want to run 22s, but you don't want to lower your truck, consider this tire size. You can also go with a 295/35, but will cost quite a bit more. Because the tires are downsized, there's obviously no rubbing issues in this specific case, but as you get into 22s, you can run into more rubbing, larger wheel, more rubbing. Next up, we got an SRT on XO Milans. I know, confusing, right? This one is on 22x10.5 plus 38 all around, and these are wrapped up in a set of Toyo Proxy's ST3 295/35/22, which is going to be a great tire choice for this platform. This one is lowered on Eibach lowering springs. The XO Milans are untested on the TrackHawk, however the XO Verona is confirmed to fit. So look, I said it before, Milan, confusing, right? They're a different design from a different brand, but they're both owned by Wheel Pros, so they're kind of the same thing, although they're different. So there you go. Now, as far as fitment, this one's similar to the last one, but is lowered on Eibach Pro springs. If you want to run 22s and go lower, but you don't want to remove the fender liners, these are the specs that you need to run. Because the tires are still smaller than the factory size, you're not running into any rubbing or clearance issues. Next up, one of my favorite wheel designs to come out recently, ROHANA RFX 11s, 22, 10.5, 30 offset, Lionheart LH5 tires in a 305/35/22, which is our first look at some 305s. Now, these will not fit the TrackHawk without spacers in the front at least. If you want to jump up in size to a 305/35 tire, these can rub even at stock height. This SRT has minor rubbing in the front, but nothing that makes it undrivable or unlivable. It's just your personal preference. The more aggressive your wheels, the bigger your tires, the more likely that they will rub the fenders. If you switch to an offset around +40 instead of +30 that these ROHANAs have, could be the difference, but you can run into inner clearance issues as well. So just trim as you need to, right? Now, another note about these wheels, I mentioned it earlier, they will not fit a TrackHawk without spacers. These wheels come in a 32 offset as well, and whether or not they would clear remains to be tested, but hit us up, we'll hit ROHANA up, we'll ask them, they'll tell us yes or no, then you can run them. Now, let's talk drag racing setups. Anytime you put a 707 horsepower supercharged engine in a car or truck or SUV, it's going to make some trips down the quarter mile. There's a lot of WK2s running around on drag packs, some that use them, some that flex on the gram. Either way, we don't judge as long as you buy it from us. Now, first up, we've got stock wheels up front. We've got WELD Ventura beadlocks out back, 17, 10 plus 38 with a Mickey Thompson ET Street SS, 275/40/20 and a 315/50/17. Now, the WELD Ventura wheels will not clear the TrackHawk front calipers. You need a 3mm or larger spacer or to shave the calipers. If you're trying to put down some solid times while staying on a reasonable budget, this is a great option for you. 20-inch wheels are the smallest size that will fit over the factory brakes without a brake kit or some serious, dangerous shaving modifications, so it makes a lot of sense to just keep the stock fronts. The rears, however, are downsized to 17-inch, coincidentally, also the smallest size that will fit the brakes. In track mode, the all-wheel drive bias on these trucks is 70/30 in favor of the rear, and having a 20 front and 17 rear gives you so much more rubber where it counts. If you calculate out tire sizes, you'll find that these are way out of spec for an all-wheel drive car, generally 2% front to rear. So how's it possible without turning the transfer case into soup? Well, the larger rear tires are aired down to 18 PSI, while the fronts are sitting at 25, making them roughly level. I'm gonna just Trust the math that this owner said on this one. If you do it and you blow up your transfer case, not my problem. A lot of people do run this setup with good results, but remember, this is track only. You need to change into these when you get to the track and back out before you leave. Luckily, you do have an SUV. Problem is, if you're driving on the street and air pressure goes up, you wind up with basically a blown up transfer case. You have a different front and rear tire size. It runs too much of a differential. You blow up your all-wheel drive components. Don't do that. So this is functionally track only. You can run around on the street. People do. I wouldn't. If you buy this from us, we're going to tell you to run it on track. So just run it on track. Now, next, WELD Performance Lagunas, 20 by 10.5 with a 17 by 10 plus 38 Laguna beadlock out back. Toyo Proxy's ST3, 275 45/20s up front, and Mickey Thompson Ichi Street R's 315 50/17 out back. This is a drag pack that you can drive to work every day. You shouldn't, you can. It'll work on the street and the strip, and this is the setup for you if that's what you're going for. These are also staggered 2017. The rears, just like the last, are beadlocks to prevent any tire slippage since these things make some jam. Having matching wheels on the front isn't strictly required, but it really completes the look, and it's like $1,000 and about a $70,000 truck. You might as well do it, right? What makes this streetable though is the tire size. This is not going to cause any self-implosion of the all-wheel drive system as the rolling diameter comes out to a 1% differential within the acceptable limit. Sure, you can't deflate the rears for maximum grip, but the trade-off is that you can cruise around town and you can do poles and stoplights and you can gap Teslas and, you know, you're ready at all times. But only in Mexico. Don't do this in the US, right? So let's wrap this all up. In this guide, we showed you some of our favorite wheels for this platform, and I think it's a really cool platform. While we didn't get into any crazy builds with air suspension and wide bodies and camber and blah, 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 and they're certainly out there, we did show you some setups that are achievable for basically any SRT or TrackHawk owner. Fitment on these trucks is not too difficult. First, figure out if you want to run 20s or 22s. If you can't decide, go for the elusive 21s. Good luck. Once you know the diameter, find a wheel that you like that comes in a 10 to 11 inch width with an offset around 30 to 40, and just like that, you found your next set of wheels. Remember, if you have a TrackHawk, not everything is going to clear your brakes, so be sure to contact the manufacturer of the wheels to confirm. Tires wise, don't go crazy. They come with very capable tires out of the box, and they're all-wheel drive. Consider sizing up to a 305 or 315, or just keep it simple with a 295. If you want a drag pack, make sure your tires come out to roughly the same rolling diameter. Just reference our guide and then adjust tire pressure to achieve this if needed. If you have a performance Jeep Cherokee, or any Jeep Cherokee, or any Jeep, or a car that has 4 wheels, or maybe even 2, upload pictures of it to our vehicle gallery to show off your ride and help others dial in their fitment. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, drop a comment, drop a subscribe, let us know what car we should cover next, and I'll see you in the next one.